All right, good evening, nerds around the world. Welcome to episode 153 of the Nerds United One podcast. I'm Paul English, your host, and we have a great show for you, like always. Joining me for this is our regular crew of Colton, Jack, and Mike, and it looks like Christopher has also decided to join us. So, how are you, Chris?
Guys, what's going down? What's going on? What's going down, fellas? How's everybody?
We are all doing fantastic. Mm-hmm. All right, so our topic today is, guys, we're going to be counting down the top 5 most influential comic book films in cinema, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But related news, and I think this is something that we should talk about. It had been rumored for weeks, but I guess it was made official either yesterday or Thursday. We now have a new Batman, and it is indeed Robert Pattinson. I'm sure most people would probably know him from Twilight, but bear in mind that was almost a decade ago. So from what I've heard, he's done a lot of movies since then, both big screen and independent stuff. And yeah, he is our new Batman. So real quick, guys, let me get your thoughts on this. Me personally, like I said, I've only seen clips of the Twilight films. I've never seen any of them in their entirety. I've actually never seen any movie that he's been in. However, my dad did see him in the film Water for Elephants, and he said that he was the best part of it. So I'm willing to give this guy a chance. He could bomb, but he could be absolutely fantastic. So we won't find out until 2021 when this new Batman movie supposedly comes out. So real quick, let me run it through. Chris, I'll start with you. Robert Pattinson's Batman. What are you thinking?
Wouldn't be my first choice. However, like I said, I'm not gonna be all. And I'm gonna guess. I've seen him in. Does anybody remember when he was Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only film I've seen him in. So I don't really have much to base that off. And yes, I'm not a fan of Twilight. I don't wish to see it. I wish to read the books. I wish to see the movies. No. That being said, I've heard hear from other people that he actually is a very, very fine actor. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not like gonna whine and cry and throw like a fit, be passionate about. Well, hey, the dude from Twilight. It's like, I'm pretty sure this is what people are saying. Michael Keaton faced opposition when he was cast as Batman. It's like, Mr. Mom and Beetlejuice, yes. So it'd have been Affleck. And they turned out to be pretty good. So we should get this guy the benefit of the doubt, though. I'm not, like I said, would it be my first choice, but I'll wait to see what he brings to the table.
Long as it doesn't sparkle, I think we'll be okay with him. Though there is one joke I just heard that, it is admittedly funny that Robert Pattinson is apparently the worst vampire ever because it took him 11 years to finally transform into a bat. So take that for what you will. Anyway, Colton, Robert Pattinson is Batman. What are you thinking?
Well, he wouldn't have been my first choice or my second, but hey, like you said, Twilight. That's long behind him at this point. So, and he has a hefty resume. So it's not like that's the only movie he has to his name. And I will say that it's interesting that he's willing to give a franchise work a try now after how Twilight wound up for him. The only negative thing I had to say against him regarding Twilight is that he did not do himself any favors during that franchise because he basically played Edward in a take this role and shove it manner and what have you. So the performance, people who are only familiar with him based on that performance are obviously not going to have a high opinion of him. Yes, I saw the Twilight movies. I wanted to know what the fuss was about. And my mom worked at a library at the time, so I was able to get the movies for free and what have you. And I saw it. And I saw him as
the only way you can justify it.
What?
The only way you can justify watching the Twilight film, I saw him I got it for free. So
and I saw him as Cedric Diggory, and he was fine in that role too. So. I think he has just as much. He has a chance of working out. We'll find out soon. I will say the only issue I have is that the body of Ben Affleck's Batman isn't even cold yet, so it just feels weird that we're getting another Batman actor. But hey, well, what are you gonna do?
Well, apparently this is coming from fandom.com, I guess. Apparently, even though this is not another origin story, apparently it's supposed to take place in the 90s.
Interesting.
Again, that's just a rumor. Take it with a grain of salt, but we'll find out. Jack, go. What do you think?
He's not my first choice. I was hoping for Nicholas Hoult to get the role, but he didn't. And Robert's our new Batman. I have only seen him in Twilight, but I've heard he's done some good things in the indie world. And the only reason I'm more okay with it is because I don't know if you guys knew, Christopher Nolan had cast him in his newest movie that he's working on. I'm just happy that we finally have a fucking Batman cast, and we don't have to worry about this. Maybe we can cast the villains and actually see this movie. Come on, director, I forget his name.
Matt
Reeves.
Matt Reeves.
Come on, Matt Reeves, get your shit together. Let's get this movie done.
2021, that's when it should come out. All right, Mike, your turn. What do you think?
Pretty much cut and paste what everyone else said. He wasn't my first choice, but I've heard nothing but good things about his performances in all the indie films he's been in. I've only seen him as Cedric Diggory. I'm not his indie films haven't really spoke to me, but I'm not blaming any actor for that. That's just the stories, whatever. So yeah, I'm willing to give him a shot. And hey, if you've seen if you've seen the Lego Movie 2, we've seen a sparkly Batman, so it's okay.
Good one.
All right. So there we go. We'll see what goes down. Okay, let's get to this list. And Chris, I'll start with you. Top 5 most influential comic book films. Give me number 5 on your list.
All right, number 5, Batman Begins. Yeah, this just came. Yeah, after the dreadfulness that was Batman Robin. Yeah, yes. Who loves that? Anyone here love that movie? No, of course.
Caleb does.
No further comment. Going back to what I was saying, yeah, because we all know Batman and Robin was a total shitfest. Campy, nonsensical. Yeah. Overall, one of the worst movies ever made. Then comes Christopher Nolan. He says, I have a different take on Batman. Let's make Batman a Batman movie where it feels like if he existent in the real world. There's some, even though, yes, he went with a gritty, more realistic aesthetic. It's like, it should completely just like it was completely like unlike anything we've ever seen in a comic book movie before. Like, we're stripped of largely fantastical elements. I mean, just like established that he was one step. This film was one step into like how superhero films would rise into dominance the way they are now. And just like, it's not only that, he just got the great cast: Christian Bale, Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Cillian Murphy, not sure about Katie Holmes, no disrespect, but still, Liam Neeson, man. You say this is the worst cast. It reminds me of Superman. Superman said we've always heavy hitters, but yet we had to owe it to Christopher Nolan for taking the steps to the rise of superhero movies and popularity with this movie. So my number 5 is Batman Begins.
Colton, what's number 5 on your list?
All right, this is gonna sound probably not gonna be on anyone else's list, but Deadpool. Okay, hear me out. All right. So I know that Deadpool is not the first R-rated comic book superhero movie, being preceded by films such as Blade and The Crow. But I think the reason Deadpool is more influential than them comes down to its place in history. Unlike the other R-rated comic book films I mentioned, Deadpool came out when there was a bunch of PG-13 comic book movies being released per year. Thus, when we got an R-rated one, it really stood out and felt like something special. And because of Deadpool's success, we saw talk of other comic book movies getting an R rating grow. I'm willing to bet money that Deadpool hadn't been a success, we would not have gotten Logan with an R rating. So yeah, that's my number 5, Deadpool.
Valid argument. Jack, what's number 5 on your list?
My number 5 is a film that came out recently, actually. Avengers Endgame.
Really?
Yeah. Which which accomplished something that no other studio has ever done. Having 22 films culminate, or
Yes,
Yeah, the right word.
That's the right word.
culminate. I was thinking of a number in this many movies, and completing a saga that's been going on for 10, 11 years, and just changing the world of cinema in a way that's never been changed before.
Okay, interesting. Mike, number 5 on your list is?
Number 5 on my list is X-Men from 2000.
Hmm.
I mean, this was the first time that Marvel kind of went all in and with a legit superhero community, and it paid off. I mean, yeah, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't the best complete story. It felt like maybe just the prologue to a bit larger story, but it proved that you could do it. Hugh. Speaking of Bobby Pattinson, Hugh Jackman. Oh, he's too tall to be Wolverine. No way, that guy sucks.
He's an Australian Broadway dancer, too.
Yeah, how many people are saying that now, huh? I mean, come on. So that's another reason I'm giving Bobby Bats. Yeah.
Bobby P.
But yeah, but
Bats.
beyond that, yeah, I mean, Marvel had other movies before, but they were made for TV movies. They were movies that were comic book movies, but you didn't really know they were comic book movies. This one, you knew it was a comic book movie, and you knew it was good.
Even that was unheard of.
I mean, it starts during the Holocaust.
Yes.
I mean, wow. Yeah, you come out swinging, and then you aim for the fences. Maybe it wasn't in, you know, a solid triple, maybe not a home run, but it got there. So, and they set the stage for what would come later. So that's why I go for X-Men.
Funny enough, I've also got X-Men at number 5 for pretty much the same reasons. The only thing I'll add is that this is 3 years after the camp trip, that acid trip that is Batman and Robin, kind of almost doomed the comic book film. Now all of a sudden X-Men comes around and we got reminded, oh yeah, these can be taken seriously, can't they? I'll admit, looking back, I don't think X-Men has aged quite as well as like other recent comic book films. But I mean, for 2000, just coming off, Batman and Robin, Steel, Spawn. I mean, this was something. It was a revolution, really. That these films could be taken seriously. Oh yeah, that's right, they can. So yeah, X-Men is number 5. All right, I'll be back in a moment, guys. But in the meantime, Chris, give me your number 4 and then take over until I get back, all right?
Okay, all right. Got you, brother. What was I say? All right, number 4 on my list is This Town Needs an Enema, the 1989 Batman. Yes, because before Tim Burton decided to go with doing his incarnation of the character, Batman had been pretty much defined by that campy TV series in the 1960s. I'm not a fan of it, but that was at that time the popular image of Batman. But along comes these different things that come to shape the character to the movie I'm talking about now, with Frank Miller, with Dark Knight Returns to Batman. Year 1 making Batman dark, gritty, the masked Avenger of the Night. But here comes Tim Burton with this movie, and he made it heavier. He made it heavier, much more adult. He proved that comic book movies could take on such serious, on heavier subject matter. It was really psychological. I mean, it's just it drew you into this. It's this whole thing. It's like a Tim Burton. This film is basically a dance of the freaks. I mean, and they just, even though some parts of it date, you cannot deny this was one of the stepping stones to comic books beginning the legitimacy that superhero movies gaining the legitimacy that we have right at this moment. So I mean, it's before Christopher Nolan. Tim Burton did it, you know, and he made Batman a kick-ass superhero. And I would say he was instrumental in making Batman as popular as he is today. So my number 4 is 1989's Batman. So, Mike, what's number 4 on your list?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Deja Vu is Batman 1989. I mean, yeah, I mean, pretty much what you said. This was, I mean, actually, even before the 1960s campy Adam West Batman series, there were those Batman serials
Oh yeah,
of the 50s, of which I've seen some episodes, and they're really not good. There's no Batmobile. He drives around like a big old sedan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it set the stage for whatever. I did enjoy the Adam West series for what it was, but yeah, I mean, this was Tim Burton saying, no, Batman is not this campy Biff Boom Pow guy. This is Batman where I'm Batman, and he'll like throw you off a building. He'll won't kill you, but you know, he'll make you wish that maybe he had killed you. And this was not, you know, Cesar Romero's, you know, play a practical joke, you know, shock you and throw and push you into like a garbage pail, whatever.
Mhm.
This was Jack Nicholson saying, no, I'm the Joker. I'm going to kill you and make you smile because you're dead. I mean, wow.
Here.
Exactly. I mean, my biggest kind of issue with this one is that Batman is really not the star of his own movie. This was the Joker's movie. Batman just happened to be the hero of it, but everything was about the Joker. But that being said, it proved that Batman could be a legit, serious character, deeply disturbed psychological character, but still a very intimidating character. And that was a pretty far cry from anything we'd seen from him before. So yeah, Batman 1989 is my number 2. Number 4.
All right, back guys. Okay, so number 4 on my list is Spider-Man 2, 2004 Spider-Man 2. Why? Because up until I would say Civil War came out, I considered this film the gold standard of comic book films, even more so than Dark Knight or Batman Knight. Spider-Man 2 was the gold standard of comic book film. This was a comic book movie done right with incredible acting, a brilliantly paced story, and you know, amazing action, incredible CGI, and just enough humor to make it still enjoyable. And yeah, this film had everything. It was a wonderful, amazing movie. It really was a film that transcended comic book film. It became a great film that everyone could enjoy, even if you weren't a Spider-Man fan. So yeah, number 4 on my list, Spider-Man 2. Okay, I was aware that Jack and Colton haven't gone yet. So Colton, what's number 4 on your list?
All right, number 4 on my list. It's probably gonna be higher on everyone else's list, but for me, it's The Avengers. It's easy to see why this is an influential film. I mean, after its release, everyone and their grandmother was interested in trying their luck at the cinematic universe formula. Much like Deadpool wasn't the first R-rated comic book movie, the MCU is not the first cinematic universe, being preceded by the Universal Monster Movieverse. But it is what put the concept back on the map, and it was also more about continuity than other cinematic universes that existed at the time. Even non-cinematic universe franchises such as the X-Men took a page out of the Avengers book when we got our semi-crossover Days of Future Past. But most importantly, I think the Avengers also had a big influence on the MCU itself. And served as proof that these characters could have a full-on out-of-genre experience, such as how Thor Ragnarok was more akin to Guardians of the Galaxy in a lot of ways, or how Ant-Man went from being a character in a heist movie in his solo film to fighting to restore half the universe in Avengers Endgame. As anyone who's ever read a comic book knows, these characters never just stay in their own originated genre. So it was great to see the Avengers kick off exploring that, and hope we get to see other comic book superhero movies explore this as well. Looking at you, X-Men.
All right, Jack, number 4 on your list is
Batman Begins. which was the beginning of the Christopher Nolan Batman franchise, which are some of the best Batman movies ever made. And it took Batman, they dug him up from the grave after Batman and Robin put him in the grave and buried him with dirt. Lots and lots of dirt. Christopher Nolan took out a shovel and he dug him up and he brought him back to life. And we had some great actors, and they did some things I thought I would never see, honestly. They brought one of my favorite villains onto the big screen, Ra's al Ghul, which I never thought I would see. I mean, they had Scarecrow too. Scarecrow was great. Batman was dark. He was serious. He was brutal. He was Batman. Yeah, we can make fun of how in the later films they may have gone a little too crazy with his voice, but in the first film it was really good. So Batman Begins.
Okay, good. Chris, well, number 3 on your list is?
Where's the I'm just kidding. I was just like, number 3 on my list would be The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sequel to Batman Begins. It's like, ooh boy. Let's just say this one blew everyone away. Just like, I mean, Batman Begins really solidified in how, I mean, just like in terms of what you can do with a comic book movie in terms of bringing realism to it. And The Dark Knight takes a step a few levels, and it's really kind of a roller coaster ride. It's bringing. It's just like, it's almost, I would say it was like a hyper realism, hyper believability of it, except for the whole sonar wave. And sonar wave is like, it's like that's a little far fetched for me, but still, like, come on. I think the draw was Heath Ledger. Really, his joke performance as the Joker is masterful. It's like it feels more. It doesn't feel like a superhero movie. It feels like a gritty crime drama, like Godfather, Goodfellas, and everything like that. And it's one that transcends the genre. You know, got the attention of the Oscar, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Got Heath Ledger a posthumous Oscar. Just like, yeah. And it was like I said, like with Iron Man, it just was fun. Stephanie Jones, and it's in the rising popularity of superheroes in the decade. So we all owe it to this film. Just, you know, it's just like, it just really transcended the genre. It's not just a great comic book movie, a great superhero movie. It's a great movie. So my number 3 is The Dark Knight.
All right, well defended. Colton, number 3 on your list is?
Number 3 on my list is also The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. You can write a book on the amount of things that have been said about this movie, and I'm probably going to repeat some of them now. Not only did this movie officially put Batman back on the map after how Batman and Robin turned out, but I'd say that it also changed how audiences looked at certain elements of comic book movies, namely the villains. Not to say that they didn't like the villains from comic book movies beforehand, but this film made audiences less forgiving of average antagonists, thanks to Heath Ledger's awesome portrayal of the Joker. It's not enough for the bad guys to just be a threat to our hero, and that they now have to really push them to the breaking point and can no longer get by on just the charisma of the actor. We wanted to remember our comic book villains from that point on, and it's probably why Thanos turned out the way he did in Avengers Infinity War, or why they tried to give Zod a bit more depth in Man of Steel. Speaking of Man of Steel, for better or worse, The Dark Knight did influence how the earlier DC EU films turned out in terms of tone. Sure, they didn't exactly follow the design well, but it wasn't a bad idea to follow the design on principle, but that's another story. So number 3 on my list is The Dark Knight.
Jack, number 3 on your list is?
The Avengers. Da-na-na. I mean, I could not get over the fact what I was watching when I came out, that I was seeing all these heroes assemble on the big screen. I mean, we all remember that iconic shot of them all grouped together. And it was amazing. And it proved that this was the first real superhero team-up movie we've seen. I mean, X-Men was already a team, but this was the first one where we had solo movies for each of the characters and moved into a team-up. And it was amazing. And it changed things forever.
All right. Mike, number 3 on your list is?
Number 3 on my list is 1998's Blade. I mean, as I was referring to in X-Men, this was Marvel's really kind of first big screen foray into comic book movies. And, you know, they went with a very obscure character. I didn't even know he was a comic book character when I first saw the movie. But not only did they go with an obscure comic book character, they went with an R rating. And they made the most out of it. And this was the first movie that really kind of showed them, yeah, you know what? You can go full send. You know, you don't have to go like Captain America with rubber ears. You don't have to go with, you know, Lou Ferrigno painted green. You could have a legit scary villain, legit scary hero, and people will still go along with it. I mean, this movie made 131 million worldwide on a $45 million budget. That is making money, my friends. And it encouraged Marvel to go a little bit further with their comic book characters. And so we got X-Men. So I don't think we would have had, hell, even Avengers. I don't think we would have had any of them if not for Blade. I thought it was a decent movie. Not my favorite. But if we're just talking about how important it is, I got to go with it.
Fair enough. All right. Number 3 on my list is 2012's Marvel The Avengers. And for the simple reason that, listen, this film really is a revolution. This was the first time that you imagine like the hype that was building up for this film. It was going to have a huge opening weekend, regardless because of how much had been building up. But you think about five films that came before it. I mean, you know, it was hinted at the end of Iron Man. Yeah, right. Like that will ever happen. Holy shit, they're actually doing this. You know, it stayed in theaters for a while. It was, yeah. I mean, I don't have too much to say about it. It changed cinema forever, for better or worse. This was truly the beginning of the MCU, and people knew the MCU was real and ain't going away. And now every studio is trying to make their own, but we were there when it started, and we will always have that. And for better or worse, this is where cinema is now. So we got to give it up to the Avengers. All right, Chris, number 2 on your list is?
Where we're at number? Oh yeah, we're on. Excuse me, number 2. All right, number 2 on my list is Marvel's The Avengers, the first superhero crossover. Boy, this was a big deal. Yeah, like the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe started in 2008. See that end credits scene, and Nick Fury talking to Tony Stark about the Avenger Initiative. We can only dream at that point, but it was only a dream. I think the Incredible Hulk took it one step further when they had Tony Stark. That was also released in the same year, of course. But Avengers, it was real. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the Incredible Hulk. We saw them. That 360-degree shot, simply iconic. It transcended superhero movies. I mean, it kind of accelerated. It kind of elevated the culture's status. It's like everything changed after that. Soon, everyone wanted to share a universe. Even DC was trying to catch up. We all give it up to Kevin Feige. He's kind of the unsung hero. You know, his tenacity, perseverance. Yeah, like it was all about careful planning and getting the right people to force this whole thing. And it all paid off with this movie. Yeah, and of course, you know, with Avengers Endgame, just like we had to give it up to the film that gave us something. Any Superman feel until 2012, superhero fans could have dreamed up, but it was real. And we owe to Joss Whedon though for pulling it off. So my number 2 is The Avengers.
All right, Colton, what's number 2 on your list?
X-Men. Okay, I know a lot of people will say that Blade is what kicked off the new wave of comic book superhero movies, but I'm going to give the title to X-Men for the same reason I gave Deadpool regarding R ratings, and that is name recognition. Thanks to the 90s animated series, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that more movie executives recognize that the X-Men were comic book characters compared to Blade. We're following the former's example in the early 2000s compared to the latter for the most part. Following Batman and Robin's overly campy tone nearly killing the genre, I'd say the X-Men are what officially made people view comic book movies in a more serious lens again. Again, your mileage will vary on how well the post-X-Men films did try to copy its take in the genre, but we probably wouldn't have half the great comic book movies we have today if the X-Men didn't reblaze the trail. Still, it's got some problems here or there, but we can't deny what it did for we can't deny what it did for the genre. I'm forever grateful that it was made.
All right, Jack, number 2 on your list is?
Number 2 on my list is Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man.
Okay.
This is one of the first comic book movies after, Batman and Robin destroyed everything. It proved that we can take superhero movies seriously. We believe that a man could swing on a web and fight a green Power Ranger. And we all remember that iconic, the hottest scene in the movie, when Peter made out with Mary Jane in the rain. We all remember that scene, and we always will. Spider-Man.
Fair
enough. All right, Mike, what's number 2 on your list?
Number 2 on my list is The Avengers. I mean, yeah, you guys have all pretty much said it. I mean, it took 2007, DC was trying to get, DC Warner Brothers, they were trying to get the Justice League made. They just couldn't quite figure out a way to make it work. And Marvel comes along and says, you know what? Let's make Iron Man. Let's make Captain America. Let's make Thor. Let's make all these characters come alive in their own movies, and then see what happens when we put them together. Oh, look, we just made $2 billion. I think it kind of paid off for them. And basically everyone else is now saying, hey, let's try that too.
But not put in any of the effort.
Yeah, with varying levels of quality. But yeah, you guys have pretty much all said it, so I need to say nothing more. Avengers is my number 2.
All right, number 2 on my list, and unless I missed something, I'm kind of shocked and insulted that none of you have brought this up yet. 1978 Superman. And because, let's be honest, none of these films that we've talked about, none of them would exist if it wasn't for this one. This was the film that started it all. This was a film that showed that superhero films could be made and they could be profitable. They could make money. The tagline, you will believe a man can fly. Guess what? We fucking believed it. Christopher Reeve, in that iconic, legendary role, breathed life in his character. He made him fun. He made him entertaining. To this day, when people think of Superman, that tends to be the first thing that comes to mind. When the general public thinks Christopher Reeve. Not Henry Cavill, not, anyone else, but Christopher Reeve. This is Superman to generations of people. So everything that we've gotten is because of this. Whether you love it or hate it, you cannot deny its impact. This is one of the most influential comic book films of all time, and I give it up to it. So that number 2 is Superman 78. All right, here we go. Number 1, here we go. Chris, what's number 1 on your list?
The film that made us believe a man can fly.
Shut up. All right, turn it up before you get copyrighted.
I'm talking about Richard Donner's 1978 blockbuster Superman the movie. Where she said it, Paul. This was the one, the granddaddy. Alexander Salkind, Ilya Salkind. Ilya Salkind said, let's make a movie about Superman. Alexander Salkind says, well, who's Superman? He's like one of the biggest characters of all time, And let's make, soon they wanted to bring certain guys to helm the film. Guy Hamilton read the 2 Bond movies. Actually, 3 at that point. I was like, I don't know, but it wasn't to be. So, who's The Omen? What's this movie? And who directed it? Richard Donner. Let's see if he wants to direct this movie. And you guys had it off to Donner. Donner is just like, he came in, he got like a campy script. It's no. We're gonna make Superman clean. We're gonna treat the source material with respect. This is an icon of American culture. We're going to give him the treatment he deserves. I credit one word he gave he wanted to imbue that movie with verisimilitude. Yes, verisimilitude. He just defined his own honesty. He respected the character. He knew how important the character was to American culture. And Christopher Reeve, you can, yes, thank goodness for him. If it hadn't been him for him, just the virtue, the nobility, the courage, he embodied that character. He made us believe he was Superman. It's like I said, he treated these people, he treated the comic book genre with respect. He basically built a template for everything that followed. Origin story, all of that. You see his influence in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, even Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman. So it's like you cannot doubt his legacy. I mean, just like how the genre, how it just was one of the steps in legitimizing the superhero genre in cinema. So we all to this movie. We would not be talking about it if it weren't for it. So my number one is the one that started all, Superman the movie.
All right. Colton, what's number one on your list?
Look up at the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
I should have expected that some of you would have it number one, but me and my big mouth. Okay, continue.
Okay, I know. What a surprise. But I can't think of a movie more deserving of this spot. There's a reason why the tagline in this movie is "You will believe a man can fly." Richard Donner wasn't just setting out to make a movie that featured the Man of Steel. He wanted us to fully believe that the character and everything associated with him had truly come to life. We owe so much to this movie, from Michael Keaton's I'm Batman, Hugh Jackman's take on Wolverine, to seeing the Avengers assembling for the first time ever with so much gravitas and fanfare. It wasn't a case of, hey, this might be cool. It was the first ever comic book movie event. And Donner put so much effort into it that he got booted off of Superman 2 because the cost was really too much high for the higher-ups, among other things. Because of this movie, because of this film, we knew that anything now was possible for comic book superhero movie adaptations if the right film team was behind it. And I really wish I could go back in time and witness how audiences first reacted when they saw Superman making his first iconic costume change and making his first heroic rescue. It must have been quite the spectacle.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is one thing I would travel back in time to see. All right, Jack, number one on your list is?
Da-na-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na.
Really?
Baby.
What?
X-Men.
Oh, okay.
It was one of the first, new superhero movies after Batman and Robin. Showed that we could make superhero movies serious. I mean, they showed off the powers great. We had some of the best casting ever. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen as Professor X and Magneto. And they started out in freaking Nazi Germany. Like, what superhero movie was doing that? None of them. They took it seriously and they swung for the gates and they hit it. And that's reasons why they decided to make Spider-Man, because they saw, oh, we can do this. We can make a profit if we take it seriously. And that's why so many other movies were made. X-Men. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Something from the anime.
I wonder how many people would have. I wonder if it might have been higher if people they actually used that theme song. But oh well. Mike, number one is.
Some people would put this movie at number 2, and I'm finding that kind of insulting. But it is Superman 1978.
Paul. Yeah, that's why number 2, Paul.
You'll find out. I'll explain.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like everyone said, this was the movie that started everything. Literally everything we were talking about is because of this movie. I mean, before this, Superman and Batman and everybody had seen. The only thing people had seen comic book characters in, other than comic books, was these cheesy serials, these kind of corny TV series, these kid shows.
But don't knock off the George Reed Superman, though. I like that.
It was a kid show. It was a decent kid show for the time, but it was still a kid show.
Yeah.
And so everyone was like, "Oh, comic books, those are just for kids." And then the Salkinds and Donner came on and saying, "You know what? All the people that were buying and reading this comic books when they were kids and loving them, they're now adults now. So maybe those comic book characters are not just for kids anymore. So they tried it and they won. They won big time. They got Marlon Brando, one of the biggest stars at the time, to say Krypton. They got these.
My son.
Yeah, Christopher Reeves he graduated from Juilliard, so he had acting chops up the wazoo.
Mhm.
Who played Zod?
Terrence Stamp.
Yeah, Terrence Stamp. Again, very professional actor. He said, "You will bow down before me, Jor-El." Dude,
Yes.
this is Terrence Stamp talking to Marlon Brando, calling him Jor-El, and they're on an alien planet that's about to blow up.
Yes. No, so.
And nobody is laughing at this. When the plants gets destroyed, people are falling into the crevices. Dude, that's disturbing. That's heartrending. And yet people bought it. People bought it and people paid for it and people went to see it in droves. And they was like, hey, maybe we can try it with Batman. Hey, maybe we can try it with Blade. Hey, maybe we can try it with X-Men. Maybe we can try it with the Avengers. Guess what? It's all because of the effing Superman right there. So yeah, number one, I don't know why anybody would put it number two. It seems like a disservice to it. But yeah, my number one is Superman 1978.
Yeah, Paul. Why? 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 Damn it.
We're listening.
It's funny, Paul. You're like, I can't believe no one's mentioned this yet. I'm like, wait for it, and like it's all on our number ones. Well, was on Jack. Actually, it wasn't on Jack's list at all.
So
No!
all right, so if you're wondering why Superman 78 is only number 2 on my list of influential, I love this film. I am not going to deny I love this film. That being said, I will confess there is one criticism that I've heard about it that I will confess I can understand, and that is it's a little bit, I guess it's not serious enough. Like, it's a little too much borrowed from the Adam West Batman, which is why number 1 on my list, the most influential comic book of all time. If it's not Superman, it has to be. It can only be one other, and that is the '89 Batman. Why it's number 1? This is why. It's because if Superman showed the world that comic book films could be made, then Batman '89 was the one that showed that they could be made, and they could be made seriously. They could tell deep, thoughtful, psychological stories, have flawed characters, flawed heroes, and just and incredible villains. Because let's be honest, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, yes, he's iconic, but he's a little corny when you compare him to, say, Clancy Brown in the '90s Superman animated series. That was Lex Luthor. I love Gene Hackman in the role, but it's a little bit you want to blow up half of California and separate it to make a huge real estate tycoon? Okay, but I mean, Jack Nicholson, holy shit, this guy went for it. I absolutely loved it. And of course, I mean, Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom is Batman. Yeah, Mr. Mom's fucking Batman. And as far as most people are concerned, including myself, he's the live action Batman. Not Christian Bale, not Ben Affleck, not anyone. It is Michael fucking Keaton is Batman in live action. So that's what number one is Batman '89. This movie that showed that comic book films could be made serious. That they could be dark, they could be brooding, they could be serious. So there you go.
Okay, you're safe, Paul.
Come on. And in the last act, Jack Nicholson was starting to get a little hammy. Come on, admit.
Yeah, but Joker has a way of being hammy at times. Yes, he can be diabolical, he can be sadistic, but he's also funny. I mean, that is part of the Joker. He's supposed to be, a little goofy and funny at times. That's what makes him so scary. That he can be a very good clown. He can lull you into a false sense of safety, and then as soon as you drop your guard down, he'll slit your throat. That is the Joker, and Jack Nicholson captured that beautifully. I mean,
Paul,
when we
you
talk
wouldn't hit a
about
guy with
Jokers,
glasses, would you?
Yep.
You wouldn't hit
What?
a guy with glasses, would you? Huh? Come on, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, huh?
I'll admit, Gene Hackman could be a little corny, but at the same time, he really knew how to capture the menace of Lex Luthor also. I mean, that scene with Kryptonite where he's basically just having a casual conversation with Superman as he's basically poisoning the guy and everything right before he puts the Kryptonite on his neck, around his neck, and then just tosses him into a pool to drown ever so casually. That's pretty Lex Luthor-y.
I would say Gene Hackman wasn't cartoonish. His henchmen were cartoonish, and that kind of rubbed off on him. That
Right away,
tainted him.
I would say the moment Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor became menacing is when Superman burst into his later. He's like casting that exchange with Superman. It's like Superman's like, is that how what rank like yours gets kicks? I plan the death of innocent people, and he said no. He said in a very sinister fashion, no, by causing the death of innocent people. That's when he's like, yeah, that's like the most menacing part for me.
All right, so that's gonna wrap up our show. I hope this a little topic of ours has encouraged you to start arguments, not finish them. I hope we haven't ended any debates, but only started more. If you guys have any opinions on influential comic films, let us know down in the comments below. And I want to thank you all for watching, and I want to thank our panel, this great panel, for being here. Christopher, it was a pleasure having you here.
I love doing this. It's like I love doing this show with you guys.
All right, thank you very much for being here as well.
I was really glad I was able to be here. I enjoyed it, especially since I was able to keep my thoughts focused and not ramble for once.
Mm-hmm. Jack, thank you for being here.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Da-na-na-na-na.
Oh my God. Are you going to have to, I swear to God, if I handed you a note with the sheet of that song, you would have sex with it, for God's sakes. All right, Mike, thank you for being here.
I mean, to be fair, it is a good score. It's no
True.
John Williams Superman score or Danny Elfman Batman score, but it's a good score.
Fair enough. All right, real quick, guys, I do have before we end, I do have a quick announcement I want to make. Taking a step back from the show, I'm going to be taking a leave of absence. I'm not leaving. I'm not going away for good. I'll still be doing the Power Rangers show with Caleb and Mike. That airs usually on Tuesday, so if you want to talk Power Rangers with us, check that out. But I'm going to be taking a step back from the main show, try to come up with some new topics, get the creative juices going. And so until I come back, and I will be back, Chris will be the primary host, unless, of course, he's not available, in which case hosting duties will be split between Mike and Jack. So good luck with that. And
I might get Mike to host this. We can alternate, you know.
There you go. So I'll leave you guys to handle that. And these guys, I will see you Tuesday, hopefully, with Mike and Caleb for a Power Rangers show. I will see you again, Auf Wiedersehen, on for the main show. Until the rest of the guys will see you next week, and I will see you at some point. So until then, like I said, this is not goodbye. This is Auf Wiedersehen. Until I see you again, take care, folks. Bye-bye.